Arsenal 3, Chelsea 2. Advantage Arsenal at the bridge. Let's finish it off at home at the Emirates. Wow, Waka, welcome back to another match reaction. Arsenal beat Chelsea 3-2. Oh, there's a lot to say about this match. Or maybe I can keep it short. I don't know. I'll probably go off and ramble. But to start it off, our starting 11. Yeah, we had Timber at left back to try and stop Estevao. White was at right back. Saliba and Gabriel in the center. Kepa in goal. Returning at the bridge. We had the midfield of Rice, Zubamendi, and Odegaard starting in our attack. Trossard, Gyökeres, and Saka. Well, Gyökeres had something to prove today. We'll get to that later. Starting off, yeah, I think it was kind of back and forth. Chelsea were really finding some spaces behind us, especially with Timber playing at left back to try and stop Estevao. I don't feel like it really worked. Not even the whole match, but especially not in the beginning. Because for me personally, I think Timber came inside way too much. So the right wing had so much space, the Chelsea right wing, and the ball could just go across the field to the right wing, and he would have acres of space before Timber could then attack the guy. I don't think that was a smart move. At least putting Timber there is a smart move, but having him go that much inside, that wasn't smart. And sometimes I feel like Ateta needs to recognize those kind of moments earlier and tweak it. But a lot of times it's either at halftime or maybe with a substitution that he changes those kind of things. Feel like he should be able to communicate to Timber like, hey, don't tuck in too much. Maybe 4 or 5 yards more to the side so you can be there earlier. So yeah, they were fairly successful from that side. They came into our 18-yard box a couple of times. They had some moments here and there, but nothing came from it. Our first corner of the match, the ball goes in. I don't think Sanchez gets the flight of the ball right there. It goes over him. Benny Blanco at the far post heads it in. There was like this thing with VAR if Gyökeres was maybe offside and interfering with the play or not, but he didn't touch the ball. The defender was trying to wrestle him more than trying to get to that ball. So I don't think that was him impeding play. So the goal stood, and I think it was a valid goal. 1-0 up against Chelsea. After that, they did attack us again, but not before we had a lot of pressing success from our side. We had a high press after the 1-0, got the ball a couple of times, but we didn't convert those into real big chances. That was really unfortunate. They got into the game again after that, started to trouble us again. A lot of the second and third balls fell for them. You know, there were a couple of times where they're like 50-50s and Arsenal touched the ball, but it ricochets off of a Chelsea player back into the pad of another Chelsea player. And a lot of that was happening throughout the match. We were really sloppy at some points, also with our passing and with the dribbling, the choices we were making from when to dribble and when to just pass. It wasn't 100% there. I mean, we win 3-2, but I don't think it was one of our better games. It was at some points really annoying for me to watch because You could tell that we could do a lot more against this Chelsea team, but we were our own worst enemies when it comes to making it an even better score than it is right now. Chelsea got some chances. Kepa is just not as reliable as Raya in goal, and especially not when it comes to uh, passing from the back and just joining in on playing our football. So you could tell that we weren't as fluid as we could be. They got through us a couple of times. Luckily for us, they didn't score. They had some moments here and there that could have been way worse. But at least we go into halftime 1-0 up. Kukurea on a yellow card, if I'm correct. So I was hoping that in the second half, Saka would come into that more with Kukurea being in trouble. Second half, we come out, feel like we had taken control of the game a bit more. We were passing, we were trying to do our thing. The ball goes to Ben White on the right. He low different cross into Gyökeres. The only reason it got to Gyökeres was because Sanchez messed it up horribly. Gyökeres was there to tap it in. 2-0 for Arsenal. Great score for us. I was like, yes, finally for Gyökeres, he gets his goal after all the criticism and after Jesus and Havertz are now back to rival him for that number 9 spot. Great goal for him. And after that, there were some more moments where we could have made it 3-0, but there were shots from Trossard that weren't really great. He blasted one over the goal when there was Timber there to pass the ball to, or maybe that was even in the first half, if I remember it correctly. But even then, he had Marino at some point shooting like crazy, man. And there were just different moments in the second half where we could have done a lot more to put Chelsea to the sword. Garnacho gets subbed on, and they get a corner. Or what's the first one? No, the first one was another time where they exploited the room behind uh Timber. That was the that was the first Garnacho goal. Pedro Neto with a cross to the far post, and he had White who had two men on him, couldn't win the aerial duel. The ball falls for Garnacho, and he puts it past Kepa. For me, I don't think Kepa the did everything right there. I think he needs to make himself a lot bigger because he came rushing out, but he kind of gave him a opening at the near post instead of making himself big and blocking that part off at least. So yeah, that's the 2-1 from Garnacho, and I was like, nah, come on, man. 2-0 up in the ascendancy. Chelsea are there for the taking, and then we let Garnacho come in and score the 2-1 and get Chelsea back into the game. Luckily for us, it wasn't that long before we had a nice attack that ended up with Gyökeres in the 18-yard box. He lays it off for Zubamendi, who delays and goes past a Chelsea player and then just with his left puts it into the back of the net. 3-1 up again, 2 more margin, 3-1 up, 2 goal margin again. And I was like, okay, come on now, just at least keep the 2 goal margin, maybe even when they are trying to go for that 3-2, we can hit them on the counter or something. But yeah, unfortunately, they get a corner kick. A lot very crowded around Kepa. I think one of the Chelsea players kind of had his arm in Kepa's face. Otto was kind of jumping on Kepa, but the way that the corner went, I don't think Kepa would have ever gotten to it, even with nobody attacking him. But at the far post again, it's Garnacho who was just who was just left there on his own. And of course, in this match, when he hits the ball, it always goes into the back of the net. He doesn't miss hit anything. So yeah, it's 3-2. Chelsea back in it again. There were some moments here and there where we could have even made it 4-2. Chelsea had some opportunities to make it 3-3 because they were still exploiting the spaces in behind Timber. And during this match, I felt like the way we were criticizing MLS the last couple of matches is kind of how you could criticize Timber. It wasn't his best match. It wasn't the Timber that we are used to in a right back position. So yeah, maybe it just wasn't his night, or maybe playing left back isn't in him anymore because he's been playing right back so much. But this game really wasn't it for him. Maybe it was just Estefao being really good. But yeah, they were very dangerous from that side. I don't think they had that much danger from the other side when normally Ben White is the guy who can struggle against rapid wingers. But nah, I think 3-2 is at least it's a win for us away from home and we can finish it off at the Emirates. But when you look at the whole of the game, I feel like we could have gotten even more out of it and made it an even easier game at the Emirates. But yeah, at least we we did it better than last year against Newcastle. 3-2 win. Yeah, I'm happy with the win, or at least I'm happy that we won, but I'm not too happy with the all-round performance and the 2 goals conceded. I feel like in this match, the midfield wasn't as strong as we are used to them being because Chelsea could just kind of skip over them and just play the ball to their right wing. So our midfield couldn't really control the game. If Timber was more on Estevao, maybe they would have had to try and go through our midfield, and then the game would have been a lot different. But yeah, our midfield couldn't really put a stamp on this match. Our defense, yeah, I feel like Saliba and Gabriel and White, they did their thing. I feel like the weak spots were the left side with Timber, and even Kepa was a bit hit and miss. The attack, Trossard didn't have his best match. He could have scored at least 1 goal because there was a nice attack on the left in the first half, but he wanted to go past one too many defenders of Chelsea. Maybe after that first shimmy, he should have just shot it low into the far post, but he wanted to go past another one. They get the ball off of him, and the chance is gone. Yeah, Saka also didn't really do his thing this match. He was trying. There were a couple of times where he should have played the pass earlier because there was one where White came around. He didn't pass it, and later on it was with Havertz again, and he didn't pass it. I was like, "Oh, come on, Saka. We know you can do a lot better than that." And then yes, Odegaard also really didn't do his thing. And then Gyökeres, I have to say today, I really liked what he did, and not the same way as when early in the season we're like, okay, yeah, he didn't score or he didn't do this, but at least he tried this or he tried that. No, I feel like in this match, he was winning a lot of his duels. He was trapping the ball and not just letting it bounce off of him. He was winning some balls back even. There was a moment where we had a counter attack and Zubamendi put a ball into him. and it wasn't the best kind of pass because it was a pass where he had to do a lot before he could even shoot. And somehow he did. He turned to his left foot, bullied the guy, and then he shot. He had it shot, but it was smothered and it went out for a corner. I like the fact that he was there at least for that Ben White cross that Sanchez messed up, and he was there to tap it in. He also did well when he assisted Zubamendi, also really strong in the duel there, and also laying it off there was great. He had some other intricate moments throughout the match, but I really liked his performance. Maybe the fact that Havertz and Jesus are now back really helped unlock him more because now he knows that he really has to fight for his spot. So let's hope it continues and that when any of our three strikers are on the pitch, they give 100% because they know there are two other guys that can just easily take their place. Yeah, that's kind of it for the match reaction. L- Obviously, I'm happy that we won. Not too happy with the performance, but at least we go into the second leg with an advantage. No new injuries from what I've seen so far. So that's a positive. Let's just get our work done again at the weekend, and then we take it one game at a time after that again. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys on the next one. Peace.